Welcome to the Juice Radio Talk Show. 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 Reality TV, church reviews. Let's talk happy love and marriage lifestyle. Come and talk with us. Come and share with us. Come and laugh with us. Come on and pray with us.
Regina Clovis, special guest. You should be following your lead. Bless. Subscribe on YouTube. Listen on podcasts. We live on IG and Facebook. This episode is sponsored by Truth and Triumph Ministries.
Hey, good day, everyone. This is Pastor Tawana Grant, and I am so excited to have you with me on today on the Juice Radio and Talk Show. I am so excited as we continue in our Money Monday series. We're talking about a strong finish for our first quarter. We're getting ready to close out the first quarter, guys. And this is absolutely wonderful for our business leaders, our entrepreneurs, and our ministry leaders. So on our episode for this particular week, we want to encourage you to go ahead and like and share. We're excited to be on the Juice Radio and Talk Show. We want to encourage you to go ahead and make sure that others know. Push it out. Make sure you like, share, go onto our YouTube and subscribe. So we're in our second week of our conversation about closing out the first quarter. So today we're talking about leadership alignment, the financial power of the right leadership team. How many know proximity matters? It does matter who you take along with you for the journey. And so we want to encourage you on today that as we talk through the information that you evaluate. So today, as you join us on our Money Monday, we're talking about finishing the first quarter strong, doing audit, alignment, and advancing. So last week, we talked about that first quarter audit, some of the things that we need to do in our evaluation. But today, we're going a little bit deeper. We're going to talk about some additional context around sometimes the problem is not your numbers. Sometimes the problem is leadership alignment. Sometimes that's where we need to look at how are we pulling our leaders together, and then how are we using their strengths, their talents, their giftings, their grace in order to advance the mission of the business. How are we leveraging them? How are we using them in the capacity to which they have available to strengthen the mission and vision that you have? So today, we want to make sure that if you are a ministry leader, a business owner, or an entrepreneur and someone carrying vision, you must understand a very important thing, and that is money follows leadership. If you want to attract more money, you have to manage it in a way that leadership attracts finance. So revenue, stability, sustainability, and growth are not just financial outcomes. They are also leadership outcomes. It matters how we address and how we carry our business organization. So when a leader is strong, when the leadership of the organization is strong, money tends to flow correctly. People are looking for businesses and organizations and ministry who operate in character and in good integrity. So when leadership is weak, money often leaks, project stalls. We often see where the organization starts to drift. So that's why we want to talk about that today, because we see that a lot even in our most local news. We see financial power of leadership alignment or the lack thereof. We see the lack of leadership alignment. And so the 6 leadership traits that directly impact your financial health of your organization. We're still talking finances, but a lot of that finances also are a direct result of leadership. How are you leading? How are you showing up? And so some of those 6 characteristics that are so very important. One is character. Character counts. How we present ourselves, how we choose to show up every day. Competency. We're going to be talking about that. Competency matters. Your ability to understand and to give understanding and clarity to others. Collaboration. How the team works together, how you work and synergize your team, because you can have the best team, but if you don't know how to work together, you're no longer working on the goal. The goal is difficult to achieve. Resilience. Resilience is so important as we evaluate our leadership and our team. You have to have the ability to bounce back. Not everything you plan is going to work out the way you planned it. And so you've got to be able to handle reset. You've got to be able to handle to do a pivot, to adapt, to the changing economy and the culture. And so that is something that's key in your leadership profile, to have resilience. Also, visionary thinker. You got to be able to think outside of the box. I've learned that over the years. Yes, you can have a perfect plan, but you also have to be able to iterate for the moment. Some of the things that happen, they happen in the moment, and you have to be able to be a visionary thinker, also to be able to plan ahead. Some things that you have been given to do, you've been tasked or assigned, they may take years in execution, but you've got to be able to vision it happening so that you move from the now of what is happening today and you plan for what you know is coming in the future. You can't wait till they show up. You have to be preparing all along. And then knowledge, of course. Wisdom and knowledge is key. So these are not just leadership principles. These are financial principles. These are principles that lead to financial structure that can lead your business forward, that can enhance where you're going, that can ensure that you're on track, that you can evaluate, just like we've been doing the financial audit. You can go back and evaluate and identify where there are some leaks and where there are some gaps so that you can make corrective measures. So here, let's talk about the first one, character. The first currency of leadership is character. Why? Because before we talk about financial strategies, we must talk about financial character. Because we have to have the ability to allow your money to multiply, to allow your money to amplify. And so you have to understand, are you ready? Do you have what it takes? Because if your character is weak, your money will not fix the organization. More money applied does not oftentimes fix the organization. It often lends to more problems, more issues, more chaos. So it will expose where there is leakage and where there are gaps in the organization. So financial character shows up in areas such as integrity in your spending. How do you spend the money that's been given to you? Again, we see this in the news. We see organizations and businesses and business leaders who are now being exposed for lack of character. Transparency with your reporting is so key that not only you know where the money is going, but you have others in position and in places, because not only is this a sign of your integrity, it is also a sign of wisdom for protection. You have to have others who are around you as you share reporting, who assist you in transparency, who assist you in giving visibility to how you are managing financially. Accountability in decision-making. When you have good character, that helps you to have accountability. People want to make sure that when I am putting my financial seed into your organization, or I am trusting you to deliver, your character has displayed that you are good at decision making and you will be accountable to what you have agreed to do. People want to work with people of sound character because remember this, they're also putting their name on the line. When they attach to you, they're putting their organization on the line. They're putting their brand attached to yours. And so it matters that you have the level of character for accountability and honesty in projections. Sometimes we have to be able to know the story. You cannot fix what you won't face. You have to be able to face it. You cannot hide. It will not go away. Just because we want to ignore certain things, we have to be able to face the truth. And integrity and honesty in our projections are key as a business leader. We have to be able to say, you know, it looks like on the trend of the numbers, right? We talked about audit last week, looking at the trends of our number, where we're going, it looks like we're not going to hit it unless we do this, unless we make a pivot. And sometimes we have to assume the risk. Sometimes we have to recognize we're not going to hit it. We're short in our numbers. We only have 3 weeks to clear out the month of March. And so our runway is short, is unlikely, it's highly unlikely we'll meet our target. So that's the level of honesty and integrity that you have to have in your character as a leader, to give people the truth and say, here's what we're going to do. We're going to draw down, we're going to revamp, we're going to refine, and we're going to make up for it in our second quarter. These are the kind of conversations that as a leader, we have to have, and we have to be able to come with the truth of the story and have the right narrative. So strong leaders do not manipulate the numbers just to feel better. We don't manipulate what is happening to make the narrative sound better and make us look good. No. Strong leaders face the numbers so that they can lead better. We want to lead better from whatever area we're in, whatever posture, whatever state we find ourselves in. We want to lead from there. And so sometimes that means character is determined by how we show up to handle pressure. I've seen this before. Sometimes when it comes under pressure, people start to spin the narrative in a way that makes it look better, even when the situation is not good. It is best to share the narrative of where you are, but come with the appropriate due diligence and resiliency on where you're going. How am I now transforming? How am I now moving forward from where I am today? So when an organization begins to grow, temptation begins to grow. That's why sometimes we don't move into lanes and into areas until our character has grown first. Why? Because when you're under pressure, when you have to make immediate decisions, you're not comfortable enough to be able to handle the truth without having built your character. You're uncomfortable having to share narratives that are not always positive unless you built your character, until you understand your identity, until you understand who you are as a leader. Here, you don't want to cut corners. You don't want to ignore governance. You don't want to go around because it's easier to do that. You don't want to blur your ethical lines. You don't want to do things that will lend you to be unethical and to find yourself in areas of dishonesty. You don't want to treat your organizational funds as if they are your personal resources. They are not, because you're answering to the organization and the business to which you have created. And so that's why you have to have a level of integrity, because you have to be able to monitor and self-discipline without anybody watching. You're the leader. So you have the exposure to the most information. You have the access to the funds and the financial information. And so a lot of that falls on you as the leader to uphold ethical principles and uphold your character. And that's why your character has to be developed above all others, because you have a final say-so and your voice carries most of the weight. So here, sustainable organizations are built on leaders who understand something critical. Trust is one of our most valuable assets for any organization that we have. Trust, character, integrity. And when stakeholders, your business partners, your investors, and those who are operating with you, those who work in tandem with you, when they recognize that you are a leader who is trustworthy, they give, they invest, they support, they partner, they collaborate. But when trust is broken, funding quickly dries up. And so that's why leadership reflection is key for this week. Does your leadership, your posture, your personal discipline reflect the discipline that is necessary to strengthen your organization, to strengthen your ministry, to strengthen your assignment, to strengthen your purpose? If not, that's where we need to develop. We have to start with ourselves first. 2, as a leader, as your leadership team. And then you look across your leadership team. You want to evaluate the character of your leadership team. Does it exemplify Christ? Does it exemplify you? Are they modeling the purpose, mission, and vision that you've given for your organization? And if they're not modeling that, they're not oftentimes the one who will be with you to carry it forward. You have to recognize proximity matters. And sometimes I cannot tell you how many organizations, how many leaders have found themselves in difficult, complex situations, not because of something they did, but because of the leaders that they were working with on their team, and that they did not assess properly, or they did not make the needed and sometimes hard decisions to move, to shift, to reorganize, to pivot, to move people from places that will cause you to be compliant and complicit in things that are dishonest. So character is key. Point number 2, competency. Competency is very important and valuable. Vision must be matched with skills. You can have a great vision, but you got to have skills to get it done. You've got to have the ability. Vision without competency leads to chaos. You can have a lot of vision, but when you don't have the competency necessary to execute, the Bible talks about no man going to war without weighing up the cost. Nobody takes to build anything great without weighing up what it's going to take. Also looking at competency and skills level is not just money. It's also, are you able to handle the effort based on the skills and talents needed to get the job done? So here, most organizations, they will fail, not because the vision was wrong, but because the execution was weak. It's not because what you're saying is wrong. It's not because how you want to do it is wrong. It's because the people who are lying to get it done are weak. They don't understand the content or the context or the necessary complexity of what it takes. So competence means understanding your financial reports, understanding what the numbers mean, operational structure, having the organization structure in such a fashion that everyone is operating at effectiveness and impact. Sometimes we're just looking for bodies and people to fill spots, but that is oftentimes a waste of your financial seed. You not only need the bodies or the allocation or the potential, you need the power, you need the purpose. You need those who come with the skill sets necessary, operational, to get the work done. This is how revenue is generated, with competency. This is how you turn the people power into revenue, because they're able to get the job done well, which in turn leads to people buying the services or buying your equipment or buying the tool or coming to be a part, because what they see, they want to align to. What they see, they want to use and leverage. So it's so important that we look at that. The true cost of running programs and services, you see that through competency. You find out how much it's really costing us. We've talked about that before. Sometimes we're investing in places and in things that really are not lending us well, right? That are not lending us to be able to do things at the capacity that we should. And so here, we want to make sure that we are maximizing what we have, maximizing our ability, maximizing the capability of others. Why? Because we multiply. We don't just add, we're looking to multiply. And so here, competence is important, because when you're competent, you're able to surround yourself with people who bring expertise that you don't know. You don't need a second you. You don't need a duplication of what you know how to do. You need others who come alongside of you who can do the things that you can't do. And because they can fill in the gaps and holes, you're therefore more fitted and suited for advancement. You're better suited and better fitted to make great happen. So strong leaders are not threatened by expertise. You should not You should not be threatened because somebody know how to do something better than you. That is a blessing when they come along and they want to operate and collaborate with you. You should not be threatened. They hire it. You should seek it out. If you're not good with finances, you should seek out someone who is. If you're not good with organizing people, you should seek out someone who is. If you have difficulty giving constructive feedback and operating from the capacity, a person who leads, meaning I have to be able to lead and give those instructions sometimes in difficult places, then hire to that. Empower others to be able to do that. Because again, ultimately, you want to win. An organization grows when leadership is both visionary and operationally competent. You don't need just the vision. You need operational competence as well to get the vision accomplished. Thirdly, collaboration. You need collaboration. Why? Because multiplication is necessary. No organization can grow alone. 1 times 1 is 1. You need to multiply yourself against more numbers. Why? Because this third trait of collaboration is key. It is not just a leadership value. It's not just a leadership value. It is a financial strategy. Collaboration helps you financially multiply. Organizations that collaborate well, they grow faster. You get quicker to your end goal. You're able to reach your targets quicker. Why? Because you share your resources, you leverage partnerships, you expand your network, you're able to reach new audiences. Sometimes when you collaborate, they know people that you don't know. They have access to other doors that you have not walked in. And therefore you have new keys and you have new streams and you have new networks that you can expand through and grow through. And so many leaders struggle financially because they are trying to carry and do everything yourself. Collaboration is key. Don't limit yourself by trying to stay within your one lane, doing the one thing that you're able to do. No, how can I connect with somebody else and we do it better together? How can I find a divine connection where it's a blessing to me and you as well? What can I do where I'm winning and you are too? I don't want to come in a collaboration where I'm the only one benefiting from it. No, I want to come into a collaboration where you are winning and so am I, where I am helping you with your venture and your assignment and your clarity and your purpose, and you're helping me as well. So here, many successful organizations understand the key of collaboration, that it is strategic, that you have strategic alignments, that you have vendor partnerships, that you have community relations. Reach out to your community. Sometimes we're always thinking it's a business. Sometimes it is reaching out to the people in your community. Sometimes reaching out to some leaders in your community, those who are like-minded and who have a passion in the same area that you do. How can you help push the mission and purpose further by collaborating with people in your community? Cross-organizational initiatives. Where is it that other organizations are doing some things that you want to do as a ministry leader, and therefore you can use the joint power of the two of you working together? It doesn't matter who gets the credit as long as God gets the glory. So if you work together, there's an opportunity to reach more, to help more people. We have an amazing outreach that we're doing at Ephesians 3:20 on March the 28th, and we have had several organizations to reach out to say, we want to participate, we want a table, and we're happy to have them because the things that they are bringing is going to help the community. We're not worried because we're the one initiating it. Oh my goodness, leaders, that's what you have. You can't be closed in and wanted to be a gatekeeper and hold it just so our name get out. No, what you're trying to do is make sure the work you're doing is given to others. You don't want to be, even if you're running a ministry or you're in business as a visionary, you don't want to be the best kept secret. Work with others in collaboration so that the message reaches further. If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go farther, you want to go far, take a team, take people with you who bring along their strengths and their abilities and their passion to make something great happen in the earth. So when leaders collaborate wisely, they reduce costs. When you collaborate with others, there's an opportunity to reduce your costs because it is shared costing, and you expand your influence because now you're operating in new lanes with new people that you did not know before. And so one of the most efficient ways to grow is through collaboration. So don't lose that thought by thinking you have to do everything yourself. The fourth item of the six that we want to talk about is resilience. Financial sustainability and stability requires leadership endurance. You're not going to get there overnight. You've got to have endurance. You've got to have resiliency. And so this is a key fourth leadership trait that you must have is resiliency. Every organization will face opportunities. Everyone. Every organization is going to face some seasons when revenue slows down, when expenses increase, when plans change unexpectedly. That is the life of a life cycle of owning an organization or a business or being in ministry. Resilient leaders do not panic. What happens is you become resilient and resolved in your mission, in your goal, in your purpose, so that when things happen, you learn to breathe. You learn to assess the situation. You learn to adapt and pivot. So resiliency doesn't show up in financial leadership only. That's what I'm saying. The talents and the gifts and graces that you have, they're not just one-dimensional. They can be leveraged in a number of lanes. Strong leaders respond strategically by asking some questions. What adjustments are needed? Where do I need to adjust? Where do I need to move as a result of this most recent happening, of this most recent occurrence? What do I need to do? How do I need to move? How do I need to pivot so that I remain resilient? Meaning I keep my eye on the prize. I'm not moved by what I feel or what I think. I am moved by my target. I am moved in unctioning. I have momentum based on where I'm going, not based on what's happening. And that's why in many instances, in many cases, we see leaders come up and come down, come up and come down, because they're moved by the seasons of the process. There's always a process. Don't negate the process. You're learning in the process. We never lose. Either we win or we learn. And so you're learning in the process. What expenses do I need to reduce? Sometimes we have a heavy front load, and now we're seeing that our revenue is slowing down. Where can I reduce and still deliver the same or as good as product? Where can I reduce without diminishing my quality? Where can I reduce without diminishing? Maybe I need to just slow down. So where I was paying and I was able to get it to you 24 hours, maybe I can reduce some of my expenses, maybe in delivery and some of my shipping, and maybe you'll get it in 2 days. Maybe it's 48 hours, or maybe it's 72 hours, but you still get the same quality of product. So these are some of the strategic thinking that you have to do to remain resilient. You have to think your way out. We're not going to fall out this year. We're not going to have any tantrums. We're not going to throw in the towel. That's how we keep starting over. You're not starting from scratch. You're starting from experience. So stop quitting in the middle of your process. When there's an opportunity that shows up, you are a leader. You are a thinker. You're the type of leader who's a visionary, and you can think your way out of this. What new opportunities can I pursue? Sometimes we're so looking at what's going bad that we can't think about what can I do that's going right. Oftentimes we do have something in the business that is going well, something in the ministry that is happening well, and we need to push on that instead of giving all our attention and getting heartburn and anxiety and fear and doubt over the one thing that, have you ever had that, leader? Over the one thing that didn't go well, the one thing that is happening. We're negating the 10 things that are successful. But a leader learns the resiliency to give the focus to the area that is most necessary. Where is it? So here we want to make sure that resilience keeps organizations from making short-sighted decisions. You don't want to make a short-sighted decision just because something just happened that's temporary. You don't want to be short-sighted. You're always looking for the long-term win. How am I staging? How am I planning? How am I strategically spending? Strategically organizing my team? How am I moving them ahead, giving them momentum, giving them strength, giving them the wisdom that they need to stay focused? And then also you as a leader, rest is a strategy. How are you resting your mind? How are you refreshing? How are you reigniting the fire that you have? Because that also matters with resiliency. You have to take a break. You have to step away. You have to have a selah. You have to be poured into as a ministry. You have to go somewhere where somebody's preaching and pouring into you and encouraging you. So make sure that we are recognizing that, because that is key. That is necessary. So the fifth portion of the visionary leadership is seeing beyond the current quarter. So you got to be a visionary leader. You got to see beyond what you see today. You got to know that hope still lies ahead, that the vision is yet for an appointed time, and at the end it's going to speak, not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it. It is coming. So the fifth trait is visionary thinking. Visionary leaders understand that every financial decision should serve a long-term mission. What are we doing? What are you doing should be on mission. How you're spending it should be on mission. How you're moving should be on mission. You don't want to waste your seed. You want to make sure it's going into good ground that you intended to grow and prosper. It is imperative. So here, that means thinking beyond just this month, thinking beyond just the quarter budget. We're talking about auditing the quarter, but we're already talking about the rest of the year. And it also needs to be beyond your most immediate need. Visionary leaders ask bigger questions. Where should this organization be in 3 years? What should we be doing next year? What are we staging this year for next year? What are we getting prepared for? What investments must we be making this year so that we'll be better positioned for next year? Sometimes we have equipment and we know the equipment life is getting shorter. What are you preparing for this year so that you will buy it? Don't wait till it tear up, leader. Don't wait until you need it for it to be broken. We are going to be thinking ahead and planning ahead. That's where that visionary leader comes into play. We know that there's seasons when things are slower. When they are slower, how have you prepared for the slow season in the season where you have growth and things are moving forward? So the last trait that we want to have for today for leadership alignment, for understanding where your team is going and where you're going as a leader, is wisdom. Financial wisdom is a leadership responsibility. It is the leadership responsibility to have financial wisdom. You've got to have wisdom and knowledge. So every leader must commit to growing in financial understanding. If there's something we've talked about or in your finances you don't understand, go online. There are a lot of training and tools and techniques and capabilities, right? AI capabilities that can help you tool yourself. I am a continuous learner and I enjoy it. Read, learn, listen. They have audiobooks for everything. And so there is no reason why we are not growing, as a leader. Wisdom and knowledge. Wisdom is the principal thing. And in all you're getting, get an understanding. So wisdom is key. You do not have to have an accountant. You don't, but you must understand the language of finances, meaning you don't have to be an accountant. You don't have to become the person that does the numbers, but you need to understand it so that those who are doing it, you can course correct when you need to. You can ask the right questions. You can do checks and balances because you cannot expect what you don't expect. You got to know enough to know when something is not right. All right, leader, you got to know enough to know when things are not checking and balancing, crossing the I's, crossing the T's rather than dotting the I's. You need to make sure things are happening as they should. So here, leaders should be able to read and understand an income statement. These are just some of the basic tools for running your business or your ministry. The income statement, the cash flow report, the budget projection, financial dashboard, looking at it and taking a perusal. You cannot expect for someone else to care about your business or ministry as much as you do. You've got to have your hands to the plow. You've got to stay steady and focused. You have to have the knowledge in order to make sure, because the more financial literate you are as a leader, the stronger your organization will become. So I'm Pastor Grant. I thank you for joining me today on Money Monday for your lunchtime learning. I hope that you have received something as we talk about the leadership alignment for your finances. We talked about last week about that quarter end audit, but here's where you can do an audit on yourself and your team. These 6 characteristics really apply across the board for the people that you're working with who are called to help you advance your business, your ministry, your entrepreneurship, your purpose. Make sure that you're doing the necessary advanced acknowledgement and assignment, right? Because money follows leadership. Lead well and serve well. Peace and blessings to you. God bless you.